Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here to dig into the source material so you can be the sharpest person in the room.
That's right.
And today, we are diving deep into ready-to-drink protein shakes. Looks simple on the shelf, right? But behind it, it's this really intense, high-growth, super competitive world.
Oh, absolutely. It's a fascinating space. It's not just about protein powder anymore. You've got these massive players, think Coke, Pepsi, Nestle, throwing their weight around right up against some really nimble, focused brands like Premier Protein or Quest.
Okay, so our mission today, let's unpack the global drivers, get a handle on the sort of financial noise in the market data, figure out the strategies these big companies are using, and importantly, talk about some hidden risks like contamination that are really shaping things.
Definitely. Let's start with the growth, the macro picture.
Right. What are we seeing there?
Well, first off, this market is expanding aggressively. The forecasts for compound annual growth rate, CAGR, they're somewhere between, say, 4.7% and even up to 8.1%. That kind of speed, that alone is worth paying attention to.
Okay, 4.7 to 8.1% growth, that's strong. But the thing that really stood out to me in the sources was the market value estimates. They were kind of all over the map, like $1.6 billion on one end and then up to nearly $33 billion on the other. That's a massive difference.
It is a huge gap. And, that chaos in the numbers, that's a signal in itself. It really points to different ways of counting. Are we just talking pure RTD protein drinks? Or is it a wider net, like functional beverages, including meal replacements?
Oh, okay. So definition matters.
Big time. It makes comparing reports, doing your homework, pretty tricky. But look, whichever number you pick, the direction is clear,
Yeah.
up, and fast.
And geographically,
Yeah.
North America is the big player now, right? Something like 38, almost 39% share in 2024.
Yeah, that's where the revenue is concentrated currently. But if you're asking where the next burst of growth is coming from, well, you need to look east.
Asia Pacific.
Exactly. That region is pegged as the real engine, maybe growing at over 9% CAGR. And that's being fueled by, rising incomes, sure, but also critically, more working women in big markets like China and India needing that convenient on-the-go nutrition. Big opportunity there.
So what's behind this overall surge? Why are people suddenly grabbing these shakes?
The sources point to a few core things. One, just basic health awareness is up. That alone adds almost 2% to the growth rate. Two, more active lifestyles, more gyms, more fitness focus means more protein demand.
Makes sense.
And three, the simple, fundamental need for convenience in our busy urban lives. Grab and go.
Okay, but connect that to the business side. All this growth sounds great, but you mentioned attention. Something called the growth paradox.
Right. Here's where it gets interesting and, frankly, costly for the companies. The paradox is this. The very health trend driving the growth. It makes people demand cleaner, better ingredients. Think organic pea protein, grass-fed whey, premium stuff.
Okay, sounds good for the consumer.
It is, but those premium ingredients, they cost more. A lot more sometimes. And their prices can swing wildly based on harvest, supply chains, you name it. That price volatility. It acts like a drag, potentially shaving off almost 1% from the growth rate.
Wow.
Because it forces companies to raise the prices on the shelf.
Yeah,
and that
right.
can scare off your average shopper who's watching their budget.
So it's a balancing act. People want premium, but they might not want to pay premium prices, especially consistently. The company that solves that.
That's the strategic sweet spot. Nail that, and you've got a huge advantage. Now, this whole purity thing, it's playing out in the ingredients themselves, too. Dairy, mostly whey protein, it's still the king, right? Holds over 70% of the market.
Yeah, established, people trust it. But plant-based seems to be everywhere now. That's got to be growing fast.
Oh, plant-based is definitely the growth engine, no question. Projected growth is like 8.6% CAGR. People are moving towards it for ethical reasons, environmental ones, or just because they can't handle lactose well.
But you mentioned a risk there.
A big one. And it's becoming much more visible now. We're calling it the purity shock.
Okay.
Recent studies, actual scientific studies, are showing that some plant-based proteins, pea protein is often mentioned, can have significantly higher levels of heavy metals, lead specifically.
Whoa, lead. How?
It's about how the plants absorb minerals and sometimes metals from the soil they're grown in. So this isn't just a minor formulation choice anymore. It's a potential regulatory headache and a huge reputation risk for brands that lean heavily on plant proteins.
Yeah, that's critical. Suddenly, a dairy brand like Fairlife, if they can really hammer home the clean milk source message, they have a major advantage, positioning themselves away from that whole supplement contamination fear.
Exactly. It changes the marketing game. And speaking of what consumers want, it's not just about protein grams anymore either, or even just purity.
Right, they want the whole package deal now. Functional benefits.
Absolutely. Functional ingredients are becoming table stakes. People want probiotics for gut health, maybe some fiber, extra vitamins, electrolytes for recovery. It's about supporting overall wellness, not just muscle.
And the label has to be squeaky clean.
Non-negotiable. We're talking non-GMO, gluten-free, no carrageenan, that's a thickener people are wary of, and definitely no artificial sweeteners or preservatives. All these demands piling up. It puts enormous pressure on older brands. They basically have to rethink everything, often requiring expensive reformulations.
Okay, so that sets the stage perfectly. Let's pivot to the corporate playbook. How are the big names actually dealing with this paradox, the purity issues, all these demands? Let's start with Bellring Brands. They own Premier Protein and Dymatize. They use that barbell strategy, right?
Yeah, it's a classic and pretty effective approach. They hedge their bets, basically hitting both ends of the market at the same time.
How does that work?
So on one side, you've got Premier Protein. That's your mass market giant. It's the #1 RTD brand in the US. Their whole thing is amazing taste. You know, those flavors, cake, better, delight, that kind of thing.
Guilty.
Ha, yeah. And they nail that profile. 30 grams of protein, just 1 gram of sugar, only 160 calories. You see them everywhere, especially in club stores like Costco. Big volume.
Okay, they cover the mainstream. So Dymatize is the other end of the barbell.
That's right. Dymatize goes after the serious athlete, the high-performance crowd. They focus on science-backed formulas like their ISO 100 product. This gives them credibility with the fitness influencer types, the hardcore gym goers.
And that credibility probably helps Premier too, indirectly.
Exactly. The science halo from Dymatize reassures the average person that Premier Protein is decent quality. It's smart brand architecture.
Okay, now for a real disruptor. Coca-Cola's Fairlife Core Power. They seem to have sidestepped the whole traditional protein supplement thing entirely.
They really did, and it was by changing the source. Core Power isn't based on protein powders mixed with water or milk. It's made from actual milk that's been ultra-filtered.
Ultra-filtered, what does that do?
It's a process that removes most of the lactose, the sugar, and concentrates the natural milk proteins. So Coke can position it not as a supplement, but as a natural food, a dairy product. And in this climate, with the purity shock fears about plant proteins, that clean milk story is incredibly powerful.
And they are betting big on this. The sales numbers are huge, over $1 billion a year, and they're investing, what was it, $650 million in new factories just for this?
Yeah, $650 million just for new production coming online in 2025. That's not just tweaking a product line, that's building dedicated infrastructure for this ultra-filtered milk. They see protein as a core category, like regular milk, just better for their target audience.
And that lets them charge more, right?
Yeah.
$3.50, $4.50 a bottle. It's definitely premium.
It reflects the positioning and, frankly, the cost of that filtering technology. But it seems consumers are willing to pay for that perceived purity and quality.
Which brings us to their big rival, PepsiCo and Muscle Milk. They must be feeling the heat. Sounds like they're trying to reinvent themselves.
You absolutely have to. Muscle Milk historically had that, hardcore bodybuilder image. They're trying to shift towards a broader idea of strength, including mental toughness, everyday resilience.
Okay, new marketing. But what about the product? Are they countering Fairlife?
They are planning to, but here's the catch. Their big move is a major reformulation planned for 2026. They're going to switch to ultra-filtered milk, too, and get rid of artificial stuff. It's a direct response to Fairlife.
Wait, 2026? That feels kind of slow in this market, doesn't it? Can they really afford to wait that long while Fairlife is already building dedicated plants?
Yeah. That is the multi-million-dollar question, isn't it? It highlights just how much pressure Coke is putting on them. PepsiCo has the money, and Muscle Milk has the name recognition, sure. But that delay, it suggests that switching over your entire production process to this new standard, it's a massive undertaking. It takes years.
So Fairlife gets a big head start.
A huge head start. PepsiCo is playing catch-up on the core technology.
Okay, let's look at Nestlé's play with Orgain. They started niche, right? But they've hit the big time.
Yeah, Orgain's story is really interesting. It was founded by a doctor, a cancer survivor, focused on clean nutrition. That origin story gives them a lot of authenticity.
And their strategy.
It's a smart hybrid approach. They didn't just bet on plant-based or dairy-based. They do both. They have organic pea protein shakes for the plant-focused crowd, and they have grass-fed dairy shakes for those seeking that specific type of purity.
So they capture both sides of that consumer split we talked about.
Exactly. They leverage that clean mission across both plant and dairy, which is quite clever.
All right, one more major player. Simply Good Foods. They've got Quest and Atkins. How do they fit in?
They are masters of slicing the market, really sharp segmentation. Quest is aimed squarely at the macro trackers.
The people counting every gram of protein, fat, carbs.
Precisely. Quest's whole vibe is it's basically cheating, implying it tastes too good to be healthy. They deliver on high protein, usually 30 grams, low net carbs, and taste. And they're seeing strong growth, like 12%.
Okay, and Atkins, that's the older low-carb brand.
Right, the legacy brand. But they've smartly repositioned Atkins for today's weight management focus. Yes, it still caters to keto dieters, but they're also very much targeting people using the new GLP-1 weight loss drugs.
Ah, because those drugs change appetite and how people think about nutrition.
Exactly. People on those meds often need to ensure adequate protein intake even with reduced appetite. Atkins is positioning itself as the go-to nutritional support for that huge emerging group.
Fascinating how they adapt. Okay, we've seen the global strategies, but how does this actually play out on the ground, say, in a really competitive international market? Let's zoom into South Korea as a battleground example.
Korea is a perfect case study. Global brands like Premier Protein mostly show up there as premium imports. You'll find them in bulk at Costco, but often the prices have shot up because of import duties and logistics.
So not exactly an everyday purchase for most people.
Not usually. Or you might find other global brands scattered across online platforms like Coupang or iHerb, again, often pricey and maybe not always consistently available.
But they're not just competing with each other, right? There are local players.
Oh, yeah. And they are strong. You have domestic giants like Male Dairies with their Silex brand, or Bingray, you might know them for their banana milk. They have the Danbeck. These local brands are everywhere.
And how do they compete?
Price and convenience, mostly. The Korean brands are typically cheaper, maybe around 2,900 won, which is, what, like a couple of bucks? And crucially, they are everywhere. Convenience stores on every corner, often with promotions like 2+1 deals buy 2, get 1 free.
Ah, the impulse buy factor.
Totally. Plus, they're formulated for local tastes. So the global brands like Premier or Fairlife, they can't really compete head-to-head on price or just sheer availability in Korea.
So their angle has to be different.
It has to be pure premium. They have to rely on their international brand cachet, maybe unique formulations or ingredients that the local guys can't easily copy to convince consumers to pay that higher price. It's a real branding challenge.
Okay. This has been a great look at the current battlefield. But what's next? Where's the innovation heading?
The source suggests it's getting more technical, more personalized. We're seeing moves towards AI-driven nutrition guidance. Think Lanbia's Coach Optimum idea, using tech to recommend specific products based on your goals, your activity data.
Like a virtual nutritionist in your pocket, guiding your shake choice.
Kind of, yeah. Scaling that personalized advice. And the other big wave is sustainability. It's moving from a nice-to-have to a must-do.
Like Fairlife aiming for fully recyclable packaging by 2025.
Exactly. For these premium, health-focused brands, things like packaging, sourcing ethics, they're becoming core parts of the brand promise. You can't really ignore it anymore if you want to win over today's consumer.
So wrapping this all up, thinking about everything we've discussed, the fierce competition, the growth paradox of premium demand versus cost, purity risks, the battle between global giants and local heroes. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It does. You stand there in the aisle looking at all these options. Will the brand that ultimately dominates this space be the one with the deepest pockets and the biggest distribution network? You know, a Coke, a Pepsi, a Nestle, war.
Or could it be a more specialized player, maybe someone we haven't even focused on today, who achieves a real breakthrough, something that nails perfect purity, amazing taste, and figures out the cost puzzle?
That's the big question. Is the future won by scale or by a truly game-changing innovation in what's inside the bottle? Something to think about next time you reach